Okay, today's Q&A is about Zeroah Lechayayim Keivah, and the question is it true that every time you shecht an animal, you have to give the tongue to a kohen? Well, the way it goes is like this. The Torah says that if you have a cow, sheep, or a goat that you shecht, that you slaughter, you have to give 3 parts to the kohen. The Zeroah, that's the muscle in the upper 2 bones of the animal's right forearm. That's Zeroah. Lechayayim is the jawbone and some of the surrounding parts, such as the tongue and the cheek. And the Keivah, which is the 4th stomach of the cow, which is very valuable for making cheese. So these don't have kedusha, which means is that once you give them to the kohen, then anybody can eat it. Now, one reason why this does not apply in most slaughterhouses is because you only have to give these to a kohen if the animal is owned by someone who's Jewish, and typically Jewish meat purveyors only take ownership of the animal, the carcass, after shechita, after it's shechted, and therefore, and not only was shechted, but they decide that this animal was kosher, was not a treifa, and therefore for that's one reason why there's no mitzvah of Zeroah Lechayayim Keivah. But the more basic reason is because the common custom is to follow the opinion of the Gemara that the mitzvah doesn't apply in Chutz La'aretz. So therefore, we live in Chutz La'aretz. It's a machlokes, but we live in Chutz La'aretz, and therefore you could go into the butcher shop and find tongue, cheek, meat, and different roasts that come from the Zeroah Lechayayim Keivah, and they're not. They did not have to give them to a kohen because the shechita happened in Chutz La'aretz. Now there are aside from Zeroah Lechayayim Keivah, there are 2 other things that have to be done with an animal. Something special has to happen with the animal that don't apply out of Eretz Yisrael, and that is that do apply even out of Eretz Yisrael, and that's Bechar and Meiser Behema. So let's do Bechar first. A firstborn male animal is called a Bechar. It has kedusha. You have to give it to a kohen, and then they bring it as a carbon. Nowadays we can't bring a carbon. So the kohen would not be allowed to use the animal until it got something wrong with it, some kind of a defect or a wound that would qualify as a mum. Well, that's just a mistake waiting to happen because someone might use this bechar before it gets the mum in it. So the common practice is that when an animal is pregnant for the first time, and it might therefore, again, a cow, a sheep, or goat, and might give birth to a bechar, what you do is you sell the animal to someone who's not Jewish, because just like by Zeroah Lechayayim Keivah, if the animal is owned by someone who's not Jewish, then there's no mitzvah. So you let the animal, the behema hamivakeres, the animal who's about to give birth for the first time, sell it to someone in a way to avoid this mitzvah. We're avoiding it not because you don't want to do the mitzvah, but because if you'd have the animal around, again, the child that's born would have to wait around until it got a mum in it, and that's waiting for. That could definitely, by mistake, someone could end up using it the way they're not supposed to. Now, the other mitzvah is Meiser Behema, which is one. If you have for every 10 cows, sheep, or goats of each year, you have to separate one Meiser 1 out of 10 and bring it as a carbon. So the Mishnah says that mitzvah applies even to Chutz La'aretz, and even if there's no Beis Hamikdash. So when there was a Beis Hamikdash, you would take this Meiser Behema and bring it as a carbon. But nowadays we don't have a Beis Hamikdash. So again, the animal would have to live out its life until it got a mum that will allow you to shecht it then, and then you'll be allowed to eat it. So again, you have this problem, which is just like Bechar. If we do what we're technically supposed to do, then keeping the animal around, and keep this animal around, this Meiser Behema, there's a chance that someone's going to end up using it in a way that they're not supposed to. So the Gemara itself says that Chazal said people should not separate Meiser Behema when there's no Beis Hamikdash. Chazal thought that it was worth it to forego this mitzvah of separating Meiser Behema rather than do the actual mitzvah Meiser Behema, and then not treat the animal with kedusha. So effectively, the mitzvah of Meiser Behema doesn't apply nowadays, even though in theory it really does, but in practice we do not practice that mitzvah.